The recording started before anyone said a word. A low hum filled the room, the kind you don't notice at first, but once you do, you can't unhear it. The camera adjusted, focus sharpened, and there he was. "My name is Marcus Hale." "My name is Marcus Hale," he said. Not nervously, not dramatically, just flat, like someone stating a fact he had repeated many times but never gotten used to. "I wasn't born into darkness," he added. "I chose it." A pause, then, "And it almost didn't let me leave." The kind of person you would trust. If you saw Marcus 10 years ago, you wouldn't think twice about him. Clean-cut, educated, the kind of man who spoke carefully and listened more than he talked. He grew up in a quiet suburb outside Chicago. Good school, stable home, nothing extreme, nothing broken. "I wasn't searching for evil," Marcus said. "I was searching for leverage, control, understanding, advantage. I hated the idea that there were things influencing my life that I couldn't see," he admitted. "So I started looking." The rabbit hole that didn't end. It began with psychology, human behavior, manipulation, influence, then philosophy, then ancient texts, then things harder to explain. "You ever notice how certain information feels hidden?" he asked. "Not illegal, not forbidden, just buried." That's what pulled him deeper. The first invitation. It came from someone unexpected, a professor, respected, brilliant, charismatic. "He told me there were layers of reality," Marcus said. "At first, I thought it was metaphor. It wasn't." The meetings. They didn't call them rituals. They called them sessions, controlled environments, dim lighting, precise language, carefully structured conversations that always seemed to lead somewhere darker. But nothing ever felt chaotic, Marcus said. That's how they keep you. Everything felt intentional, ordered, purposeful. When things started watching back. At first, Marcus thought he was gaining awareness, sharper perception, better intuition, but then it changed. "I started noticing gaps," he said, "moments where time felt stretched, silence that didn't feel empty, rooms that felt occupied even when they weren't." The night he stopped sleeping normally. It happened gradually, dreams that felt too real, too consistent, too aware. "It felt like I wasn't dreaming," Marcus said quietly. "It felt like I was being observed, not attacked, not chased, just watched." The mirror rule. Marcus leaned back slightly. For the first time, he looked uncomfortable. He said, "I made a rule. I stopped looking into mirrors after midnight." No one laughed because of the way he said it, not like superstition, like experience, because sometimes it felt like something was looking back before I got there. The organization. This wasn't random, it wasn't chaos, it was structured, layers, ranks, assignments, purpose. Marcus said, "We studied people, patterns, weaknesses, access points, because everything came down to one thing, access." 3 types of people. He explained it like categories: open, easily influenced; resistant, harder but possible; closed, rare. And then, Marcus said, there was a 4th type. A pause. His voice dropped slightly. Untouchable. His first untouchable assignment. Her name didn't matter, he said that clearly, because it wasn't about who she was, it was about what surrounded her.
She lived alone in a small house in Ohio, worked a regular job, no social media, no platform. Nothing about her suggested strength, but she was flagged, "Do not underestimate." The first attempt. They approached carefully, calculated, focused. Marcus expected resistance, but not this. Nothing happened. No reaction, no entry, no shift. It was like she wasn't even reachable, he said. The second attempt, something shifted. They tried again, more focused, more aggressive, and then it felt like we crossed a line, Marcus said, not physically, but perceptibly. The atmosphere changed, the silence thickened, like stepping into a place you weren't invited. We weren't alone anymore. That's how he described it. Not fear, not panic, awareness, like something else had entered the situation, something that wasn't reacting, but already there. The observation period. Marcus needed answers, so he watched her. Days turned into weeks, routine, patterns, behavior, looking for anything that explained the resistance. 6:12 a.m. every single day. He memorized the time because it never changed. 6:12 a.m. She would wake up, sit upright, still, quiet, and say 4 words, soft, calm, consistent. At first, he ignored it because it didn't look powerful, didn't sound significant, but nothing else made sense, so he kept watching. The third attempt ended instantly. They tried again, but this time it didn't even start. The moment they focused, they hit something, solid, immediate, unmovable. It was like running into a wall in complete darkness. You don't see it until it stops you. The realization that broke him. He went back over everything, every detail, every moment, every word, and then it connected. The words she said. Marcus leaned forward, lower now, careful. She said, "I belong to Jesus." Why that shouldn't have worked. Because in that world, power is complex, layered, earned. But this was simple, too simple, and yet completely effective. The pattern he couldn't deny. He started reviewing past assignments, looking for similarities, and found something unsettling. The ones who were untouchable, they always knew who they belonged to. The experiment that changed everything. Marcus sat alone one morning, no group, no structure, just a thought he couldn't shake. If what it's real? He hesitated, then said it, quietly, carefully. "I belong to Jesus." The immediate reaction. Nothing externally happened, but internally everything shifted. Pressure, tension, resistance. It felt like something inside me rejected it, and that's what terrified him. The night everything collapsed. Sleep didn't come naturally. It pulled him under. Darkness, thick, heavy, endless. But then, light, not distant, not fading, constant, still, waiting. For the first time, he had a choice. Darkness felt familiar, predictable, controlled, but the white, unknown, uncontrolled, but peaceful. He moved towards it, and everything behind him fought back, not visibly, but internally, doubt, fear, pull, but he kept moving. Leaving wasn't quiet. Marcus said, "You don't walk away unnoticed." There were consequences, pressure, moments of almost returning, because familiar darkness feels safer than unfamiliar peace. But he held on to one thing, the 4 words, again and again and again, "I belong to Jesus." What changed? The rooms stopped feeling occupied, the silence softened, the tension lifted, the mirrors became normal again. Why he's speaking now? Marcus looked directly at the camera for the first time. He said, "No one told me how simple it could be." He said, "No one told me identity mattered that much." Final warning. He stood up slowly. The hum in the room seemed louder now, or maybe more noticeable. He said, "You don't need to understand everything, but you need to understand this. Not everything has access to you." A pause, long, intentional, but something always wants it. Last words before he walked out. He reached the door.
Stopped. Without turning back, he said, "Make sure you decide who you belong to, before something else assumes you haven't." The door opened. Light spilled in. Then it closed. And those 4 words, still the same, still simple, still unshaken.